All right. We're back.
Here we are.
The boys are back with better sound system. So it doesn't sound like we're recording with a cup phone at the bottom of the ocean.
Would you say that we got a bigger boat?
I think we might have.
We might have.
And yeah, man, what's been going on?
Nothing. Doing some home renovations. Blew a hole in my finger the other night.
Blew a hole in your finger.
While trying to get my rewatch of Jaws in. Well, not at the same time, but same night. Then we actually went to the drive-in yesterday to see American Werewolf in London and The Howling, which was pretty
cool. Incredible.
Yeah.
At the drive-in.
Remember
that was a thing? Like in the olden days, that was definitely a thing.
Oh, yeah.
That was like a COVID thing, wasn't it? Like people were like, oh, we're doing drive-ins.
Yeah, I mean...
Come get your grandma. We're going to see the show.
But I got to give a shout out to the Mahoning Drive-In, because they've been doing the drive-in for a long time, and they persisted through everything, through
Incredible.
all the ups and downs of COVID or not, and they
horrible movies, etc.
Yeah, but they do like cult classics, horror, all kinds of cool stuff all the time.
They do it all, baby.
They do it all. Yeah, so it's a great time. It's honestly a great time.
How much? I don't even know how much is a drive-in cost, because I picture it's like, yeah, $3 per car.
Yeah, it's also...
It seems very old-timey.
It is also 2023 now, so
things aren't... Took you a while to get there.
Nothing's a nickel anymore. But, no, I think it's $10 a head.
Okay. They don't do it by the car? I thought that was a thing. Like, you got to pay...
No, I mean, well, specifically this one. I feel like maybe... I don't know. I don't really go to that many. This is the drive-in that we go to.
Gotcha. So you're not traveling the country hitting up other drive-ins.
No. I've been to a couple of different ones.
Yeah.
But this is the one that this is the one.
This is the one.
Oh yeah.
You and the missus go to.
Yeah.
Nice.
And I recommend anyone that's listening to check it out at some point.
Where is it located?
So it's in Lehighton. It's up the turnpike.
Lehighton, Pennsylvania.
Yeah, Lehighton, Pennsylvania. We are in Pennsylvania.
Yeah. For our no listeners that are outside of Pennsylvania right now.
Yeah.
It's maybe one day.
Maybe one day.
One
day outside of our...
Could you imagine if someone was like, yeah, we traveled from Utah to go to this thing?
Oh, people do travel, because it's pretty cool. It's an awesome thing.
I just think it'd be funnier that like we influence someone to make a decision in their life.
Oh, we did.
Yeah, like they were like, they called out that place, so we got to go.
You were just saying like that people would travel for it. I was like, I know people do. And and you can camp over.
Yeah.
We don't do that, but like you can camp over there.
Didn't you say the one time there was a guy that was like freaking out at everybody? You were telling me a story about some dude that was going insane.
We were there.
Yeah,
there was somebody that was. Well, I think it was a girl. She was just. I guess they've been drinking a little bit of Grandpa's cough medicine before the event, and she was like during the movie. It was during Scream. She was screaming. She was screaming.
Yeah,
not like just dialogues happening. She was just yelling. She's like, "Oh, that's right." She was. Oh yeah,
yeah. I remember you were. I was like, "Dude, how was the drive?" And you're like, "It was pretty scary." That was when you. Isn't that when you slammed the those two corn dogs in the line? Remember you were talking about the whole corn dog?
Yeah,
that's tough.
I luckily stopped eating corn dogs since then, but I did eat them, and yeah, it was.
You're a survivor.
I'm a survivor. It was a mess.
Great. Oh man. So man, let's You want to get into it?
Let's get into it.
What are we watching?
I think the movie we watched, I hope it's the right one this week.
Could you imagine we watched two different movies? We're like, yeah, dude, I watched The Odd Life of Timothy Green.
Oh my God, I hope that episode never happens. That's a paywall episode.
That's a paywall. We're going to charge you $400 per minute to listen to a movie that shouldn't have been made. I'm kind of bummed that the second episode I've brought up that movie 2 out of 2 times.
I told you it's going to happen.
3 out of 3 because we deleted the very first episode. But
it's going to happen every episode because you have this fascination with this movie that I will never see, hopefully.
Movie.
But anyway, so what are we watching?
We are watching Jaws.
Well, are we watching it or did we watch it?
No, we're not. We previously watched it.
Okay.
Yeah. We realized that the first intro episode was we're going to need a bigger boat. And everyone was like, oh, yeah, it's a Jaws. It was a Jaws episode. And then there was no shark, and it was just us. and people were disappointed, to say the least. So we figured, we're going to cover Jaws today.
Yeah, I did like why you said the first episode should be called We're Gonna Need a Bigger Boat.
Yeah, because we were in over our heads.
Yeah, I like that. I think now that you listen to it and then you're given that explanation, it's like, oh, okay.
Like, yeah, they had some thought.
That's funnier than I thought it was.
Maybe a single, or maybe it's not. Maybe
it sucks.
Maybe it's less fun. Dump it. Dump this whole show. Maybe it's less funny. But yeah, we watched Jaws. So yeah, man. Had you seen it recently?
I'd seen it. I was trying to think of the first time I saw it. I feel like it's a movie that it's very hard to say the first time you saw it.
Yeah.
Especially because it's a huge, it being PG.
Oh,
huge TV movie all the time.
I completely forgot that was PG.
Well, yeah. That
was before PG-13.
Yeah.
What was the one that was PG-13? It was like a first movie that was
Red
like
Dawn.
Red Dawn.
But I think so. There's, if you ask the internet, you'll get different answers. But
yeah.
I think,
which we will not be doing.
No,
this is all approximate knowledge.
Raiders of the Lost Ark. I think
yeah, because it was another Spielberg.
It was
one.
the reason they did it. But technically, the first movie is Red Dawn, and I think Cat's Eye is another early PG-13. I heard that recently. But yeah, so then there's the whole. Before we even we're talking about nonsense before we even get into this, but there was the whole backlash of this movie being PG.
Yeah,
there's some scenes that definitely aren't PG. But
no, when you see Quint meet his ultimate demise at the end,
spoiler.
Yeah, so there's gonna be. If you haven't seen Jaws, first off, grow up. Second, it's been in long enough.
49 years.
49 years. So. Okay, so we're not the problem. It's you.
Yeah, but I mean, I guess between a PG and an R, I don't think it's an R. So
no,
really,
I think it was a PG.
They should have just gotten this 13 together earlier. Yeah. Got kids at the theaters.
Well, if we were running the show, it'd have been different. That'd be a nightmare. But yeah, dude. So the intro of that movie, 2 seconds in, so it's the iconic scene of the girl swimming. But there was something that I noticed. So they're like, if they're going over everyone in the party. There's a dude that is like aggressively playing an acoustic guitar. You do not hear the audio coming out of it, but I swear to God, this guy was playing Through the Fire and Flames on acoustic guitar around this fire. He's sitting by himself. There's like, everyone's like, oh yeah, we're having drinks. And it's just some guy like, if I don't perfect this, I'm not going to be allowed back. And I don't know why it made me laugh so much, but I don't know if you picked up on it, but I saw it and had to like stop for a minute and be like, why they were like, oh, just strum the guitar. And the guy was like, oh yeah, you fucking want me to strum this guitar? Ask it. I
like to think they had to cut the audio because it was just too loud.
It was like just awful. But,
dude, are you even playing?
Are you even playing? Be like, yeah, in a way. Like, I don't know what that means.
He's like, it's Deliverance. You know the song.
That was a banjo. But
yeah, I kind of forgot that. Like, obviously the first scene is incredible,
it's the first
but
scene,
I forget if the campfire before it. I don't know why.
It shouldn't. It's not. It's like a throwaway line. Like, you shouldn't. No one should have picked that up. Like, everyone should have just been like, oh, this is the intro to a movie, and not been like, excuse me, why is that guy there? But that's fine.
But we pick up and she's sprinting.
The girl?
I kind of was like,
I was winded,
taken back by how I didn't really pick up on that. She's sprinting, like not like a joke, like little like, oh, come catch me, let's get in the water. It was like let's get in the water. She is full sprinting, and then
they're in New England.
Her little friend is he's furiously trying to.
He is winded.
He's trying to take off his clothes, run, fumble, dump. I don't know, roll, whatever he's doing.
Dump. Yeah.
So she makes it. He doesn't.
Yeah. And he gives up instantly.
We all know what happens next. But still, I will say, 49 years later, I'm going to keep saying 49 a lot because it's not 50. And
yeah.
I guess we should have talked about this next year, so we could have said 50. But she's getting whipped back and forth. Oh, man, that's still brutal.
Yeah. I didn't realize, like, how, like, not... The shark wasn't in it until, like, the last... I remember checking. The first time you see, like, the shark... The first is it's when they're in you see the fin and stuff like that, but it's like more like halfway in the movie.
Yeah, I think you see it. I saw someone say hour and 12 in.
Hour and 12. It was like a 2-hour movie.
Yeah.
That's pretty for a shark movie, and they're like, you don't see the shark.
But
like, that's a bold choice.
After watching some of the other Jaws, which that was not part of the assignment, but I took it upon myself to watch 2 and 3, and I almost made it to 4, but
Then you had a good long stare in the mirror. And
Yeah. Less shark can be better sometimes, for sure.
just in your daily life. That's
Less
just
shark,
good advice.
yeah.
Other the better. That's stupid.
I
Dump that.
like watching. I like watching somebody get mauled by a shark, but
As,
and some of those other entries,
they're a bunch of stinkers.
you can just they should have just stuck to the Spielberg.
Yeah.
Give them 4 minutes.
Yeah. The second one was good.
Yeah, no,
Jaws
no.
2 was pretty good.
No, I'm just saying in general.
Yeah.
The way the shark looks, and you're just like, okay,
yeah. It's kind of wild.
give me some mystery, and I'll be much better.
Yeah. I will say, just to shout out the second one, the best scene in the second one is when the shark takes down a helicopter.
Oh yeah,
Jumps out of it, bites it, drags it clean under the water, and you're like, okay.
And then the rotors, you're like, not. They start ripping up the sails
Yeah.
in the boat.
Uh-huh.
Oh man, yeah, I just watched 2 yesterday. And,
Yeah.
Oh my,
It's pretty
God.
good. I will say, that one holds up.
That's a good movie.
3, get that out of here.
Would you say it's like an aliens situation? That's gonna piss people off for sure. Let's not even say it.
I look at picture. There's just some guy beat red at home. Be like, don't you say it.
Don't say it, dude.
God.
Yeah, I redact that. I don't actually mean that. I
redacted.
just thought it would be funny to even think about.
It's done. It's gone.
Okay.
But yeah, and then I'm trying to think of... So another scene that I thought was really funny. So they contract to kill the shark.
Oh, yeah.
Like, so it's the initial attacks. They're like, oh, no, we're a summer town. Like, dude, there's no sharks. It was a boat. And that's not how the mayor sounds.
I was
but
going to say, I don't think he sounds like that.
we watched 2 different movies.
We did, okay.
So they're like, oh, we got to keep the beaches open. Terrible mistake. It's a shark
yeah.
movie. But then, after the little kid dies.
Yeah. So they don't even believe... So they know it's a shark.
Yeah.
The coroner, the first time through, says, yeah, it's a shark attack. Brody writes up his little report as a shark attack.
Yeah.
And then the mayor, well, his deputy runs into the mayor and says, oh no, there's a shark attack.
That guy's so useless
Yeah,
in this movie.
all he did was make the situation worse. And that brings on the ferry scene, which is awesome. Because
Yeah, when they like strong arm. So the movie, if you haven't watched it, I strongly suggest watching Jaws. But it follows a police chief of a small town, and it's basically his first summer, and shit goes wrong. It's basically the moral. But continue. So they're back on the ferry.
Even before that, it's still frantic watching it now.
Yeah,
when he's rushing through the town, getting his little paintbrushes and his little.
Oh yeah,
he's just like, oh, we got to close the beaches.
Yeah, trying to make those signs.
He knows what's going on, and then his deputy obviously alerts the mayor, thinking that it's a good idea. Mayor gets his men. They follow. Brody is just trying to go get these. I think it's just children they're doing like a swimming thing, right? And he's going over to get them out of the water.
Yeah,
but he has to take the ferry, and he's terrified of water. And then all of a sudden, they follow him onto the ferry, and they basically have almost like a wise guy.
Strong arm him.
Yeah, like a wise guys meeting. Like, oh, you stinks, you're closing down the beaches.
Like, hey, listen to this guy. I did think it was funny. So this is basically they strong arm him, the mayor and his cronies. It's also the medical reporter.
Yeah.
And he was like, you said it was a shark accident. Like Brody says, like, you told me over the phone this was a shark accident. He's like, I don't know.
I was mistaken. It was a boating accident.
I was mistaken. It was a boat. It was a shark boat.
It's like, we're going to have to change that report.
He's like, did you just tell me to put in an official document, shark boat, in quotes? Like, yeah, I think so. And,
so they have to, redact it. So he eventually just, shuts his mouth and goes with it.
Yeah.
And they keep the beach open. And you can tell he's just sitting there, white-knuckled, like, oh,
just
God.
Pissed. Yeah. And then, so they don't close the beaches. And then the kid dies.
Yeah.
Right? Little Timmy on the
raft. That's brutal, because he comes in and he does the prune check. His mom goes, was like, let me see those fingers. Oh, they're getting pruny.
They're getting pruny. Like, why?
Send him back.
Why would that have been? Yeah, like, I wash the dishes for 2 seconds and I get pruny. Like, why was that?
I guess, I don't know.
I don't know. That mom seemed like a mess. She was.
We have some notes on her for later, but she.
I don't.
Oh, you don't? I do. I have a good one. But she.
I hope she drowns.
No,
like, oh
no, I don't hope that. Her son just got mauled.
Okay, there's other kids in the world. Oh my God. I'm just kidding.
Yeah, so he. Oh, that's brutal. You just see the yellow deflated raft.
And then I think that's the first time you see the shark, because you see it turn over. You see a fin in the air as little Timmy's dreams are being.
His name's Alex, buddy. Come on. I like Timmy though. Let's go with Timmy. Let's
Timmy.
rewrite it as Timmy.
Let's get Spielberg on the horn and rewrite it.
I really think this movie would be better if you change his name to Timmy.
So if you could for the 50th re-release it, but like poorly voiceover, be like, what did you say his name was?
Alex.
So in the movie, they're like, oh, let's go see what Alex is up to. But then like in the new one, it's like, let's go see what little Timmy is up to. And you see their mouth like move.
But we get to the town meeting, which is I know what you wanted to talk about, where the town meet where they basically create the contract for the.
Yeah. So this is like, we're getting this shark. Yeah. All right, we're getting him. We gotta have. What are we gonna do? And that's where you see Quint for the first time.
Yeah.
Oh, what a guy! He scratches the board, the chalkboard.
Yeah, that's brutal sounding.
I did not enjoy that.
I was like, turn it down.
Yeah, that was good. That was very good. But so they contract it and they say, look, like we're gonna try and I think the mom of little Timmy puts a bounty up, and that's when all the fishermen come in and stuff like that. This was like after they were like, no, we're not going to pay Quint
the $3,000 bounty or whatever it is.
I think it was five. Was it 5,000 or 3,000?
I don't know. I thought it was 3. I remember there was 3 in it for sure.
There was something in it. It was a dollar amount. It was in the thousands. I think.
There's a little handwritten sign.
It's awful. It looks like a lemonade stand.
They should have gotten the deputy to do it. Did you see those beach clothes signs?
Beautiful.
I couldn't even believe it. They gave that idiot a bunch of paintbrushes. Yeah. Just said makeup. He told him the sentences, which I already forgot by the time you said it. And then somehow these signs are out there. I'm like, these are like professional signs.
Yeah, they did. He did a great
job.
The new ones, the reward, it looked like little Timmy's dead body wrote them. That's terrible.
Oh my god.
So Timmy's gone. So then they contract these guys. And so this whole build-up, what we were just talking to, is because I wanted to talk about the two dudes that have the chain and the roast. Do you know that scene? So they're like, it's these two guys, and it's like after they were like, there's going to be a $5,000 bounty to catch the shark. So these two guys, it's just like you never see them again. It snaps to them, and they're on a pier at night. And they basically have a bunch of chain.
Oh, yes.
One dude's wife's roast. He's like, we better catch this shark. My wife's going to be pissed.
Oh, that's right.
And you'd never see them again. Like, that's it. And it goes horrible. The shark rips the whole pier to shit. But...
Oh, yeah.
You know what I'm talking about?
Yes. He pulls the whole pier out. He pulls it out. It's like it's almost like a raft at that point.
I just think like they had this great script, like they introduced Quint, they introduced all these wonderful characters, and they're like, let's go get Johnny Dipshit and his idiot friend and steal his wife's holiday roast out of the freezer. Why was that there?
I
don't know why.
It's awesome though.
Oh, it's great. So that was basically like my whole lead up to just talk about those two idiots on the pier.
I do have a note here that says turn the subtitles on when Quentin's talking.
Oh my god.
Because he says some of the most awesome lines, but if you're not glued to the TV, eyes wide open, not blinking, and have the subtitles on, there's a chance you're not going to understand what he's saying.
Did you see... So I did the same... I just watch movies with subtitles on just because like I'm probably deaf, but I won't admit it. The scene... This is jumping forward a little bit. The scene when they're preparing the boat... Do you know what I'm talking about?
Yeah,
when they're and Brody and his wife are like, "Oh, I'm gonna miss you." Quint is just like saying nonsense in the background, and it all came through in the subtitles. And I'd never seen that before. But he is like, he just is going on like nothing. Recommend subtitles for that.
And I have that note in here multiple. Every time I talk about Quentin's, like, please have the subtitles on because it's honestly
he needs a translator.
It's gold.
Honestly. He is great. So we got up to it. We got up to the point. Couple deaths. They tried to close the beaches. There's a bounty for try and get the sharks. All these people are coming in, and then I guess they catch the shark. Or they believe they catch the shark.
Yeah, they think they catch the shark.
Shark.
So I will say we also have the Hooper introduction, which the Matt Hooper introduction kills me because he shows up like a denim cat burglar. He's got
he does.
He's got the denim jacket on, the scraggly beard, and the little beanie.
But it's not pulled down all the way.
Not pulled down, and I'm sure that was normal back then. But I feel like,
but now it's very
somehow
stupid.
He would fit in, and
He looks like a
in the
hipster.
2020s. Yeah, exactly.
He looks like he was going to a hardcore show. In
It's
that
like,
little beanie.
honestly, people just saw that and were like, "Oh, dude, I'll do the Hooper."
Yeah.
Like
We're
I've
doing
seen so many people that dress exactly like that.
Yeah,
Denim.
it's
cap
pretty
or
cool.
whatever.
It's pretty
It's
cool.
cool.
I will say the costume, like the costume choices for them, like he looks like Hooper's is cool. Quint, incredible. Obviously, the only like even the mayor in his
Oh, my
like
God.
wild like used car salesman, like, hey, how you doing?
Dude, the
Like,
one with the anchors.
yeah.
The suit.
Sorry
with the
for all used car salesmen that are listening.
the suit with the anchors on it destroys me.
Oh.
my god! Like I'm just looking at him like,
Yeah. I don't know who dressed him, but it was not a talented individual.
But then they get the line, "They're all gonna die," just so casually because he keeps telling them like, "There's too many people in the boat. They shouldn't be doing what they're doing," and and they're like basically just shooting him off. They don't realize that he's like the oceanographer, and they're like, he was just walking away. He's like, "They're all gonna die.
They're all gonna die." Yeah, that is pretty good. So that's this part in the movie. Is there's like they have that bounty that we were talking about, and then like every fisherman who's ever looked at a boat like starts showing up. And there's the one guy that's like it's like a montage of like people loading equipment in, and the one guy's carrying dynamite, and he's like, "Where are you going with that? You can't bring that out there." And he's like, "Ah, he's just doing some fishing."
And then doesn't he toss one over his shoulder like right
yeah,
there?
when they're going out, like when they're going
Everyone
out,
gets all pissed off.
a dude just lights a stick of dynamite, and he's like, "Oh, that one didn't catch it. let me try another one." So stupid.
But they do get the tiger shark.
Yeah, so they basically set out all these people, and then it's like, we caught the shark. They get like a radio call, like, we caught like a big ass shark, and it's this. You said it was a tiger shark.
Yeah.
So I know you had a note about this. So
What?
they had this big shark like hung up, and it was a real shark.
Oh, you want the behind the scenes note.
I want the behind the scenes
okay.
note about that shark.
Yeah, so I guess initially they contracted someone like a local fisherman to catch a shark, and it just wasn't happening. Just like everything else that happened with Jaws.
Yeah.
It just took it wasn't happening in the time they needed it. So
It was like all part of this like big bounty of like, hey, everyone come in and try and catch this shark.
Yeah, so they had it in the movie, but I think that was pretty much what they tried to do in real life.
Oh, in real life
to get the shark.
I thought you were just bringing up the point that I just said.
They needed the shark.
Yeah.
They needed a shark.
Yeah.
They
So
needed
this
a
is
shark to
like
hang
it was
up.
a separate bounty
Yeah,
in the real
so it was
world.
like almost like an
It was like we
Inception.
need the bounty for the bounty shark
yeah.
in Jaws.
Yeah.
Okay.
So then they had to send. So it wasn't happening. So I'm reading here that the stunt coordinator had to go down to Florida. They knew someone in Florida that could catch a shark. They caught a shark in Florida, but they had to get it back up in time. So they put it on they put it in a 13-foot fish.
Yeah.
In a 15-foot coffin, and they had to load it onto a cargo plane and just fly it back up.
Do you think the guy that built the casket knew it was for a shark, or is he like, yeah, my Aunt Bertha she's a big
huge.
gal.
Yeah, she's bigger than Andre the Giant. Okay, I have no idea.
We want to get buried in like what is it called when you put someone on your shoulders? It's like in a chicken fight,
you want to get buried in chicken
We want to
style.
get buried chicken fight style.
Okay,
So we're gonna need
2 for 1.
2 for 1.
Yeah,
one hole, two people on the ground.
So they have to fly this cargo ship back up with 2 guys, but it was only room for one guy and the coffin. So they had that guy still had to get on another plane and meet him up there. That part is my favorite part of the fact, because it's just like, why did we need to know that? Why did anyone ever record that? And 2, imagine that guy. He probably smells like dead fish, and he's just like he's super mad. And he's like, we gotta get back.
Yeah, and they're filming. And he's just on like Delta,
because he's a stunt coordinator, so he has to be there for the. Imagine that, like, oh yeah, I just need you to go down to Florida, wrangle this thing.
Dead shark.
Yeah, no, but like, imagine if they didn't have the shark for the movie, though. That would be kind of pointless.
That would suck. I mean, you look at it and you're like, oh, that looks like a real shark. It is a real shark.
That's a real shark.
So but that is very upsetting. Like, imagine being like, look, we got 1 seat left, and you're like, is a dead shark really taking my spot in the private jet with food services, eating caviar, and now you're just like,
the other guy's like pinned to the wall. He's like, I guess I'll just sit here.
I guess I'll just
you know what? I'll just hold it.
I'll just hold it.
Yeah. So then you get back to Jaws reality.
Now we're back in the movie.
So Hooper obviously realizes, oh yeah, this is nowhere near the size of the bite that we recorded on this body here. So this cannot possibly be the shark.
And everyone's like, yeah, look at the. Did you? So he's taking measurements of the shark's mouth, like Keith just said, and like, did you see there's all the old fishermen? I was like, what the hell is this bite radius stuff? Look how friggin' big the mouth is. And you're like, oh,
and they're also trying to take a picture of the shark, and he's still there doing the measurements, like. I've heard they call him like, young fella, get out of the way.
Yeah, and he's just like, he's just this like, a scientist.
He's like, what are you?
Who is the main character? It's just like, what? Oh, fine, die, all of you. I don't even care.
Yeah. He's like, hey, you're all gonna die.
You're all gonna die. That's a great line.
But yeah, then he wants to gut the shark right there,
just to see if like just to check.
God, could you imagine though if they actually did that and then.
Well, that's what the mayor says.
Yeah, he
says
it. He's like,
I will not stand around and watch little. I don't remember his name.
Alex Kentner.
Alex,
or something like that.
Alex dump out all over the pier. Yeah. But yeah, he was getting ready to be like, let's just cut this dude open. Yeah. Like, there's cameras here.
This dude,
dead shark. But yeah, that is a very good, a very iconic scene. So they basically cut the shark open because they want to see if it was the actual one, and that's where. The iconic license plate. They pull out a license plate.
Yeah, when they actually cut it
open. When they actually cut open the shark, because they're trying to see like if this is the one. They cut open the shark, and he pulls a license plate out, slides it over to him. And Keith, what state is that license plate from?
Louisiana for 100?
Louisiana.
For 100?
That is correct. So yeah, it's from Louisiana, because he basically was like he came up from the Gulf Stream. But it has a nice little homage. The license plate number is 007981. So 007, it's a nice homage to James Bond, Live and Let Die, which I thought was kind of cool. But also, I found out that same license plate number shows up in Sharknado 3. You see it flying around. So that's a nice little homage. And the movie, did you ever see Deep Blue Sea?
Yeah. That's what I was going to bring up. I saw that.
And the license plate's in that as well, which I didn't like. I don't think he intended the license plate to be such an iconic thing, but I think like if you go online, people like have like Richard Dreyfuss plays the scientist.
Yeah.
People have like signed license plates by Richard Dreyfuss, and like that's so cool. That would be so cool to have. But anyway, I love talking about that. I'll be at the grocery store, like the deli counter, and be like, "Did you know the license plate was from Louisiana?" But. Yeah, I thought that was I thought that was a cool little bit.
No, yeah, that is I did appreciate that, and I love that. Last time I watched this movie, I brought it up to your desk, and that's the first thing you said. You asked me it, and I had no idea. I was like,
I came in hot.
I was like, you think I'm gonna remember that? And then you better believe I was watching eyes wide open this whole time.
I will not.
Where is
never
this license
again.
plate? Where is it?
Yeah, you were like, dude, I watched Jaws. I'm like, remember that scene they cut it open? I was like, yeah, where was the license plate from?
Dude, it wasn't just that.
Super
you
angry.
gave me like. You gave me endless
Shark
quotes, facts. It was like a stream. Like you were just waiting for like like a door to be open, and then just.
And then it's just like. It was like the what is it called? Like a sleeper agent. Like
yeah,
you said a word, and I was like Louisiana. But
yeah. So before that scene, though, I have a note here because I needed to bring this up.
Oh yeah,
it destroyed me.
Go for it.
Alex's mom walks up to. Chief Brody,
little Timmy's mom,
and just slaps the living daylight out of him. But if you hear the audio, it's like I'm gonna try this.
Yeah,
it's like a thud.
Yeah,
because she misses her hand and just catches the her palm.
It's all wrist.
And I'm like, bro, I've been hit like that with all palm by accident. Like someone tries to slap you and they hit you. And it's just like that. It just sends you to like another planet. Yeah. It's like getting hit with a bat.
There's no way they definitely had to call.
He has to just sit there cross-eyed, like hoping that he can get the lines in, and he does. But you're like, wow, she hit the bejesus. It's not even his fault. He tried.
No,
but I mean, there's no way for anyone to know this. But he tried to stop this whole thing.
Yeah,
may or may not have saved her kid, but the man in the shark suit or the little fancy
anchor. Yeah. So this is his death, little Timmy's death. If you'll remember earlier, after the medical professional was like, oh yeah, it was a shark boat, not a shark. Basically, like leads to them keeping the beaches open, which leads to little Alex being mauled to death by a shark.
And that's no good.
Not good. So they gut the shark open. Then they hire. I don't really think anything too crazy happens, but then they hire Quint, and then it's who's like an a World War II vet, is what you find out later. And then they just have it's just Brody, the chief of police, Quint, and his name's escaping me right now. Hooper. Yeah, why did I forget? And the scientist. And so it's those three.
The three
amigos, baby. On the Orca.
Right.
Set out on Quint's boat named the Orca. And if that isn't the coolest boat name, if you don't think that's the coolest boat name, you can go ahead and uninstall this from your device because we don't have time for you.
Oh, yeah. And then, again, this is where you want to have the subtitles on because the dialogue in here is all awesome.
Quint starts popping off like nobody's business around this time.
Three chums chumming, we'll say. That's what they're doing. They're chumming the boat.
Please tell me that you wrote that down.
I did.
But three chums chumming.
It's just for like, I don't even have like sentences. I just had like pieces of like, oh yeah, just in case because my brain doesn't work the way it should sometimes, so now I'll just like blank completely. So it's like, oh yeah, this is what happened next. But it's almost like just a little like, if I get wrapped up in some bit that Nick has me going, like, where were we?
Just throw in three chummers chumming.
Yeah, I know exactly.
Just bring it back. I know, yeah. But so then they set sail,
and then
to find the shark.
One key part of this is Brody is terrified of water and of drowning, as he tells his wife earlier. So him being on the boat at all is crazy. And then you see if you pay attention to him, he's doing the Old Spice. I love that. That's the reason I started looking up Jaws facts the last time I watched it, is because I see he takes the Old Spice bottle, that old school that they just brought it back probably like 5 or some years ago. Is that Old Spice bottle?
Oh, you're saying when he's chumming the water?
Yeah, and he just like inhales it.
Yeah,
like you would kill someone.
These guys huffing glue in the corner.
But he does that, and because I guess the scent of the dead fish is so strong, and he's already not okay
because they're trying to catch the shark. They're trying to like basically leave bloody fish bits in the water, and so they're like, you don't know what you're doing. Go throw some of this in,
and he's just like, I'm gonna die.
Yeah,
and he already doesn't. He has no sea legs already, so he does that, and then he's bumbling around, knocking stuff over. Almost knocks over all the compressed air. Well, he does. He
does knock over all the compressed air.
But he's just basically bumbling around. And you can tell like he's just a man that's not made for the sea. But he's like, I got to see this through.
Yeah,
because I think they try to leave without him, right? And he's just like, I demand to be on this boat.
Yeah, Well, Quint originally says like, I'm just going to go alone.
Yeah, that's right.
And then Hooper says like, I would like to be there to study it, and he's like, that's fine. He's bringing out all his, which this is a funny scene when they're loading up the boat before they set sail. He's like, they're going over a checklist. Did you hear? Quint says an awesome line. He's like, all right, we have a harpoon gun, we have a shark cage, we have like an SMG, like they have a gun on cage. And Quint goes up, he goes, what are you, some kind of half-assed astronaut? And I think that line is incredible. Just because Quint's like this old school, like, you catch a fish with your bare hands like a man, okay? like I'm gonna choke out this shark, and then I'm gonna be the hero. Yeah, it's a great scene. So they basically like just do a lot of, I would say the biggest part of the movie, like the iconic parts of the movie is when they're on the boat, when they're on the Orca. Yeah. And like I know we're skipping a bunch of parts, but like I don't think people want to hear us do a shot for shot of the entire movie.
No. And I agree. It's almost like there's two parts to the movie. There's on land and then on the boat.
Yeah.
On land, you get the hysteria. Because they go back to hysteria one more time where they do no one's going in the water.
Oh, I forgot about that.
Well, yeah. But I mean, it's almost like a callback to the first time.
Yeah.
But instead of everyone being in the water, no one's in. Mayor shoves them, basically makes his friend and his family like begrudgingly walk in, which is a pretty insane thing to think about. They're like looking back, like, do we have to do this?
Yeah, they're like, I don't.
And then all of a sudden it's like the Beach Boys is playing, even though it's not. Everybody's like,
even though it's
we don't know how to swim. Everybody storms it.
Yeah.
They get
then the two kids have then these two dipshits. Probably, I related a lot to those kids.
They have the fake shark.
Yeah, they have a fake shark fin, like mass hysteria.
And you hear the shark, and then everybody comes out just as fast as they came in. And now, honestly, that's a pretty crazy scene. People are getting trampled.
Yeah, there's like an old guy laying face down in the shallows.
Yeah, and people are just getting stomped on, running back through.
Yeah.
But yeah, so part one, and then this is part two. Part two was we are on the boat. Three amigos, chums chumming. 25-foot shark, 3 tons of asshole.
Yeah. Oh, he incorrectly identified. So you see the shark. You finally start to see this big shark, which is named. So they had, when they were doing the shark, like making the shark for the movie. The shark's name was Bruce. That was like what they called it. How much was there? Was there just one fake shark, like mechanical shark, like that played Jaws?
I feel like
I thought they had a couple of them.
Yeah, we should have remembered this from the 6 months ago when we had this
conversation.
Rattling this off. But
yeah,
I think there was more than one, and that was part of the problem. Is they had so many malfunctions. That's why there's only 4 minutes of really shark footage. In this movie.
Well, that's why we were saying earlier you don't see the shark for a lot of times.
Oh yeah, because he has to work around.
Because they had it was just a nightmare to try and get this thing work. It was a full size fucking shark. They had that was like all mechanical, and this was in the 70s. It wasn't like today when it was like, oh yeah, like no problem.
And I read that that's part of why they used the location that they did. They shot it in Martha's Vineyard, and the way that in Massachusetts. So it actually takes place in Massachusetts.
Yeah, it takes place in Massachusetts. Amityville is where it takes place in the movie.
Amity.
Yeah.
Not to be
Amityville. No, not the horror.
Not the horror.
Just the regular Amity. Yeah.
So it takes place in Martha's Vineyard. They basically rename it to Amity for the movie, but everything is shot in that town. But the reason they did that is because they had this giant animatronic shark that they have to have in the water, but there's like for some reason it kind of levels off, so it's not like it doesn't just drop into a deep sea.
It's not deep like the ocean is.
So they had they had a whole bunch of room to shoot around the island where they could actually use this thing.
Yeah. Which
Bruce,
if you see like some of the shots of it, like even a little earlier, like in what we were just talking about, like the land section and the boat section. So in the land section, there's another scene where that guy, it's like basically the shark kills another person, but you see like underwater this big shark, but it's like all mechanical. Imagine how terrifying it was, even though it was a fake shark, just to be in the water with that thing. Like they'd be like, all right, you're gonna get in, and then we're gonna put the shark in. I'd be like, nah,
no, that's okay.
I don't want to.
You sure I can't shoot?
I'm more of like a land guy. You can't superimpose me in there or something. So then they're on the boat. Flash forward to the boat scene, and they're just trying to hunt this thing down.
Right. So they're shooting harpoons at it.
Yeah.
So they shoot for the fin. So they shoot for it. They get a barrel in, and then this is. Obviously, we already know the music is awesome, but this is the part where I realized the music really is awesome. Like I guess I wasn't paying attention before.
Oh, they do a great job.
John Williams kills it. So they hit with the harpoon, and the music is all happy. And it's like, I don't even know the song that's playing.
Can you one more time? What was that?
But it's like oh man, there's hopefulness, and then all of a sudden it keeps going, and then the shark pulls that.
So Quint's great idea is to harpoon this big shark with these like barrels full of air, basically so that it can't go under, so it'll always know where it is. And then he shoots it, and it goes under with the one barrel. And he's like, "Oh, I've seen this before."
And the music just drops immediately.
And it's like, "Oh, it's not like we're screwed again."
And then I'm just at that point, I'm like, "Oh wow, this is like a part of it. Like you can really feel what's happening based on like the soundtrack is like perfect. The score, whatever you want to call it."
I think they did a cool job like with the whole barrel thing. So they put it's like basically it's something that's just attached to the shark now. It's like a barrel, a big yellow barrel, and then Hooper puts a little like beeping tracking device on it too, so that like you'll be able to hear it and see it at night. The way that they like don't show the shark, but you'll just see the barrel like pop off in the distance. I thought they did like that was such a cool idea. Like whoever did that was chef's. I guess it was Spielberg that did it, but that was really cool. I liked how they did that.
That was one of the ways that they figured out how to increase the shark time in the movie without showing the shark
because
they had so many problems.
This like broken down Walt Disney we're not sponsored by them. Please don't sue us. Animatronic shark that. I like to think it was all rickety and stuff. And like when it was out of the water, it was like just like making all these like terrible noises. But yeah, so then they a little later on. So the one scene that I did want to talk about, I don't know. Did you have anything else like?
I just have one. Like it's not funny when it's happening, but it's really funny because what's his name? Brody sees the shark, freezes.
Oh yeah,
and then he like I don't know if you're familiar with Home Alone, but when Kevin McAllister sees his neighbor in the convenience store when he's trying to buy a toothbrush and he sees him and then he freezes, doesn't say anything and just starts backing up. Yeah. And they're trying to get him. They're like, you have to pay for that, son. You have to pay for that. But he's just frozen walking back.
It's the same scene.
Yeah, he's just walking backwards like this. He's just like frozen in fear. And he doesn't say anything to them. He just walks back in the room because he's just seen the shark.
Yeah.
and then they all realize that he's seen the shark, and that's like,
and it's
oh,
like shit. But that is where he says,
destroyed me.
Yeah, he's like my dog when I put a hat on her. She doesn't know what to do. But that's where you get the famous line of, so I feel like this is something that I always thought it was. We're gonna need a bigger boat. But the line is, you're gonna need a bigger boat.
Yep.
Because he's telling it to Quint, and Quint's like, okay, this guy's been on the ocean for 2 seconds. Like, I have authentic shark mouths in my home. But yeah, that's where he says the iconic line of, you're gonna need a bigger boat. And I just like, name a more iconic, like, there's lines in movie history, like that's a line.
And that's not scripted either. That's
no, that wasn't
ad-libbed.
scripted.
Oh, that's ad-libbed. Yeah,
Wow.
that's what makes that even crazier. It's like,
What if he said something funnier though? What if he was like, "Well, zippity doo dah," and you're like,
just jumps off the boat.
just cannonballs right off the back. He's like, "Well, slap my booty sideways and call me Shirley," and you're like, "Why did that was what you said when you were afraid?" Yeah, that was stupid. That whole thing, what I just said there.
No, it was great.
It doesn't look like
My face.
I know your face is saying
great.
otherwise.
Head tilt. But this leads right into the USS Indianapolis speech, which I think is
Yeah.
one of my favorite parts. Just
So
because,
set the scene a little bit. What is going on when they
So-
start talking about it?
So they've already seen the shark. They've already. I think I'm going to get this right order, but they've already attached 2 buoys or 2 barrels. They've only done one at this point.
Just one.
Because at one point
I realized
they
I
had
just
2.
put my finger up.
You did.
With a 1, and I was like, that was. I felt like I was like telling
Okay,
a guy,
so-
I want to speak to your manager.
Yeah, I might have the wrong order here. Then.
So yeah, it's 1 barrel.
1 barrel first, but they get a second one attached eventually. Yeah. So they've already seen the shark. They're already like, they're in they're in the cabin.
Yeah.
And it's nighttime.
Yeah.
And then I don't remember how he starts talking about it. But then he just are they talking? They're talking their their sea injuries first, right? They're
Yeah.
sea
So
injuries.
it's night. It's like night. They're all like just drinking around
Yeah.
the little table, and I thought this was a really cool scene for multiple points. One, so they're all talking about Hooper and Quint are talking about all their like sailing, like sea related injuries. And they actually, if you notice it, Quint kind of looks at Hooper, and like you can tell he's realizing like, all right, I was being kind of a dick to this guy, but like he's been around a little bit, so you can see them like start to become friends.
Yeah, because they got scars. So he has like
yeah.
the moray eel scar or something,
Yeah.
or stingray. Is he a stingray?
There's a stingray, and then I think he had like a thresher shark. He had like a bite on it, like a thresher shark on his leg. Yeah, and then Quint, he has an arm tattoo that was removed.
Yeah, and then he leads into it. Now I don't have the dialogue here, and I really recommend if you do watch it having the subtitles on, because he says a lot very quickly.
Mm-hmm.
But yeah, he basically goes into the USS Indianapolis, which we've also discussed before the podcast. That I just watched the movie USS Indianapolis: Men of Courage, featuring the greatest of all time to ever do it, Nicolas Cage and Tom Sizemore.
Yeah, and they played that on Shark Week.
And I didn't know this because I hadn't seen the movie.
Yeah.
I just had it on my list because it's a Nicolas Cage movie to see. And then I realized it was a shark-related movie. I was like, oh, I got to watch this. So I did watch it. Am I glad I watched it?
I don't know.
Sure.
It happened.
It happened. It's probably a one-timer.
It's okay.
Yeah.
It does the job. But that whole situation, like what happened with the Indianapolis? So you find out Quint was in World War II.
Yeah.
He said he was dropping off he's like, we dropped off the Hiroshima bomb.
Yeah. So they basically dropping off like materials for little boy.
Yeah.
Which is honestly really sad to think about, but it is
really
what it is.
Yeah.
It's like a really
it's not great.
Not great. It's not something that we really want to cover on the podcast, but
we're gonna be exclusively a bomb podcast from
it happened. So they're on the way back in the USS Indianapolis, and then they get hit by Japanese subs.
Yeah.
By some torpedoes, and they go down in the middle of the Philippine Sea, right? I think I have that right.
Yeah. And if we don't, tell us.
Yeah, just go watch the critically acclaimed movie.
If you guys want Keith's address,
Mario
I'll
Van
send
Peebles,
it out.
2016. Go check it out. So they go down, and there's close to 1,200, crew members on the ship when it goes down,
like that are still alive.
Yeah, and then a couple are about 300 go down with the ship, but the rest are just in the water.
Yeah,
and then it's a really harrowing 4 days for them
Tale.
because it's a secret mission. They have nobody that knows where they are.
Oh yeah, basically
nobody knows.
Quint says he's like we were so secret, like the distress call wasn't supposed to go out for another like 5 days,
so
or something like that. So they basically had no idea that they were there, or that they were hit or anything like that.
Right. And I just watched the movie,
and this is all true. This is all like
this
is a historical event. The sinking of the Indianapolis.
Yeah.
And then basically what happens? Like
they're surviving on these rafts, and it's actually brutal.
It really is terrible.
I don't want to say anything funny about this because it's brutal. But
I'm gonna say a couple funny things.
Okay. But yeah, they were basically, and then they just start getting picked off by sharks.
Yeah.
And then like the sharks are just like they're dying from saltwater poisoning, dehydration.
Yeah.
They're basically just dying because they have no supplies and they're in the middle of the ocean, just hanging onto these rafts. Mm-hmm. And then the sharks just are just swarming under them, and it's brutal. And
they
end up surviving 316 people out of the original almost 1,200. So it's like really brutal.
It's not great.
But look, when he goes into the speech,
it's probably one of the
it's awesome
top 10 speeches it's incredible. Just his character, the way he delivered, like he's a really goofy character in the movie, but like this is the most serious, other than when he dies, you see him. And that's when he has another really great line of it was like 1,211 men go in the ocean, 315, or I'm butchering these numbers, come out. He's like, the sharks got the rest of us, April the 4th, whatever year it was. And I probably butchered that date.
Yeah, you butchered the date, the numbers, but it's fine.
I'm like...
It's all good.
So basically all I got was that he said dialogue. Was the only thing.
No, you got everything right. It was just July.
All the numbers and figures and stuff.
And it was 316.
316.
Which that 316 number I'll bring back up later on because it's kind of brutal. But
when we do the Odd Life of Timothy Green.
Yeah.
Another famous shark movie. No, I'm so sorry.
All right, we got to bring this back up.
Anyway, that was a bummer. Wait, bring what back up? Odd Life?
No, just bring the mood back up.
So I'm just going to start calling it shorthand Odd Life, I think.
Odd Life.
No, I'm so sorry.
So they attach. So then they get the. So then then they. The next part is they have the barrels and they attach them to the cleats. Mm-hmm. And because they're like, oh, we got it.
Yeah, this is the next day.
This is after they get the second barrel.
Day.
Yeah, they shoot him again.
The shark.
The giant fish comes back.
Crikey.
They get another harpoon.
Steve Irwin's on.
They now have the barrels in, and they're like, all right, we'll attach them to the cleats.
Yeah.
So the cleats
and
are
they
do, but Hooper almost gets his legs cut off because
Captain Dipshit decides to.
That's
tie
what I mean.
Behind
they actually play that really well.
Yeah.
That he has no he's doing what he can.
Yeah, the police chief. He's a complete.
He doesn't
buffoon.
know, and I think that's really cool. It's not like he knows everything to do.
Yeah, it adds to the movie. It adds to the whole plot of like, oh, these guys are.
And then he helps
in
save
over their head
Hooper.
A little bit.
The rope is just closing on his legs. And you're like, oh man, he could.
You're like, that's it for him. He's about to be Dunzo.
Yeah. So their goal is to drag the 3-ton fish, and
he's like, I'm going to drag him into the shallows and I'm going to drown him.
Yeah.
That's what Quint says. So they're basically going to try and just pull him. If you pull a fish backwards, little fun fact, it drowns them because they can't get any oxygen. Because the way a fish breathes is that it puts water over its gills and it's able to pull the oxygen out of it. And if you pull it backwards, it doesn't work and you can actually drown a fish. Keith's looking at me like I just told him what ice cream was.
No, this
that could all be wrong. I don't know.
No, I mean, my brain is just exploding.
Yeah, so they're going to try and drown him, which is like a thing, I guess, drowning a fish. But it doesn't work.
It does not work. And what happens to the boat is that it starts...
kaput.
Yeah, it starts sinking.
Yeah.
It blows the cleats off. And so, the shark is detached again.
Yeah.
It blows the cleats off.
Yeah, it rips it off.
But
they took on a ton of water because it started dragging the boat. Yeah.
So the orca is sinking.
Classic.
So now it's time for the shark resistance cage? What does he call it? The shark what cage?
Oh, it's like the anti-shark cage or something, which is stupid. He's like, it's basically a tin can that he's going to put himself in.
Because what happens next after one...
So they some backup, so just some like... The reason Quint realizes like, shit, none of my methods worked. Okay. So they have 3 barrels in him, like 3 barrels of air trying to hold up this big shark. He goes underwater and Quint is like, I've never seen this before. All right, let's see what this like scientist guy, half-assed astronaut has to say on the subject. So then he has like a shark cage and he's going to go in the ocean and try and stab him with, I don't remember what it was, but it was basically like a poison to try and kill the shark.
Yeah, it's like strychnine. Is that right?
I have no idea.
Yeah, I think that's what it's called. And then it's basically it's basically a harpoon full of that stuff that's gonna kill him.
Yeah.
And then instantly
goes wrong.
You get one bump from the anti-shark into the anti-shark cage that bends like it looks like
it folds like a lawn chair.
Just opens, and then he also drops the harpoon immediately to the bottom of the ocean. So you're like, well, this isn't gonna go well.
So that was his grand plan. Yeah, that sucked. So he's out. He gets out of the cage.
Yeah, Bruce bangs up the cage.
Bruce bangs up the cage.
Escape.
Yeah, so he's just basically hides. You see him swimming off, and then he hides in like a little coral reef. And then you see like a cool scene, which you told me about, with the shark on top of the cage. You know what I'm talking about?
Shark on top. Yeah.
When he's thrashing around.
Yeah.
So it's a cool scene. I'll let you tell it though.
Like, I don't know.
Remember they had to buy that footage from someone.
Oh, you want that information?
Yeah.
Okay, yeah. So they actually have shark that some of that footage is actually a shark.
Yeah, like the time he's in the cage, there's like footage of a shark banging up against it.
Yeah. So they actually, what happened was I actually learned this recently. They actually, I think it was filmed in Australia. They had like some professional shark handlers. They had a smaller shark, obviously.
Yeah.
And I didn't know this part. They had a smaller cage with a smaller person in it
to give it the illusion that it was like.
So they're like,
we'll just use that.
I didn't even know that. I just figured it was.
It looks like it should be there.
In the cage the whole time, and it's not.
Yeah.
Some of that footage is
just bought from someone else.
And then so they had a problem with. So there's scenes of that where there's an actual shark, obviously.
Yeah.
And they couldn't get the shark to, I guess, attack the cage and go in while the person was in there, but they got it to do it while he was out. So that actually ended up changing the ending of the movie.
Really?
Yeah, because in the book, Hooper doesn't make it.
Oh, that's right.
He gets
chomped
eviscerated.
in the cage. Like
so I think
they
the
pull
idea
him out
was,
of the cage.
we're going to write it the same way. He's going to get smashed up, ripped out of the cage, eaten. I guess that's how Grizzly is going to be.
Yeah.
But because they had all this footage of the shark smashing the empty cage, they're like, oh, well, he has to escape.
They're like,
so then that
we'll
changed
just have
the
to
whole ending of the movie.
Yeah, that is pretty interesting.
But I think it's cool because
that is cool.
Yeah,
because this was based off of a book, Jaws. So I mean, I always like when they like kind of like. Some people get kind of mad when it's like, oh, it's not based on the book. Be like, okay, go read then, like. But I kind of like when they took it in like its own direction.
Yeah, so he escapes, and then speaking of based on the book and the movie come out almost within a year of each other. It's like the book was released in 74. Like
really?
Beginning of 74.
I thought the book was like old.
No, the book was written and released in 74, like the beginning, and then this came out in the summer of 75. So it's like they were filming in just a couple months. It's like
pretty
crazy to think about.
That is pretty wild.
And then the actual author, he's actually one of the screenwriters, and he's actually the interviewer in the movie, which is kind of cool.
That is pretty cool.
Yeah. So I thought that was pretty cool.
They have now in the movie, this is kind of so the orca is banged up. It's just Quint and the police chief, who Quint lovingly refers to as Chief the whole movie. Hooper's gone, and this is kind of like the big scene. So the shark jumps up onto the boat, tears it all to shit, like rips the back of this thing. Jumps clean through. It's like Free Willy in the back of this thing, crushes the back of the boat, and then so the orca's like royally screwed now. And then this is when Quint meets his final demise and slides into the clutches of Jaws, of the shark, of Bruce.
And still, even knowing that he dies, I was like, every time I watch it, I'm like, oh yeah, he'll make it. He'll just lose his legs. He'll be fine.
You know what I do? I do that with Titanic sometimes. As terrible as it, I'm like, they're definitely gonna make it. Like they're gonna see it this time.
They'll make it.
They're gonna see it. Jack's a good guy, But yeah, it is. That's a sad one.
So he goes into the mouth of the shark, and then we're left with our man Brody, and he throws
rams a scuba tank in the shark's mouth. And then
takes a couple lucky shots, and finally the last shot.
Bada bing.
Bada boom.
Dunzo.
We got 3 tons of asshole all over the ocean.
So the shark's dead. You see the cool scene, so it's a bloody mess in the ocean.
Oh, yeah.
But you see the fin go through the blood, and do you notice if you put the volume up really loud, if you blast it, you hear a roar. Did you pick up on that?
I did
It's going
not.
to, it's like, and it's supposed to be like the shark, and the music is like hopeful again. It all blends together, and it's basically like symbolically like the shark sinking, like you got him. And then they made 4 other Jaws movies, so I don't know what the hell happened,
but then Hooper surfaces, so
yeah,
he doesn't die.
And he's like, "What did you guys do in the last 10 minutes?"
He's like, "I just survived. I'm back."
Yeah, and he's like, "I hid in a coral reef," and he's like, "Really?" Because I watched a man die, and then I blew up a shark.
And then the credits just hit.
Yeah, and then they're like, "Yeah, bye."
And then if you watch, I
Get out of the
just saw the
theater.
credits roll. If you watch, it's the background is their little boat getting closer and closer, and then
Yeah,
they
they're
get
little
out.
like, and then they get out. Yeah,
Yeah.
they're like kicking.
It's like
and he's like,
perfect.
"Oh, I think the tide's working for us."
Yeah, they just take it all in.
Yeah.
And I'm like it's really small, so I'm like looking, even when I'm getting closer to my TV, I'm like, I think that's them. And then then you see them get out.
And then you see them get
And
out.
I think that's cool.
I'm a big fan of. I always like to look at what the first line of a movie is and what the last line of a movie is. So in this one, I think the last line is Hooper said, or Chief says it. He goes, "Yeah, I used to be afraid of the ocean," and Hooper goes, "Yeah, I can't imagine why." And I think that is like just incredible. Like I think that's so funny that they chose that for the first or the very last line.
It is
of the
cool.
movie.
It's almost like a transformation. Like he's still scared of the ocean, but like
yeah. I mean, the years of wild PTSD that he's gonna have after
yeah.
this. He's like, "Yeah, I'm not so scared anymore," until his wife turns on the sink and he jumps out the window. No, that's terrible. But yeah, and that's Jaws in a nutshell. That's just kind of What else? Did you have any other fun notes or anything about?
So
the movie?
I wrote down my favorite scenes. The Indiana speech is definitely up there, and the cage scene, obviously, in the finale. Like it's just that's just great all around. But I also do like the cold open kill.
Yeah, that's cool.
Where it's right off
That's
the bat, and it's almost like it's not that she's not a character, because obviously she's a town folk, she's part of the town.
Yeah.
But it's not like you know anything about her yet, and then she's just killed. And then
It's just like
they come back and do that in Jaws 2.
They do, yeah.
And then I noticed, one of my favorite movies ever is Scream. And
Yeah.
every Scream movie has the cold open kill. And I tried to scour the internet, try to figure out if there's any correlation. I don't know if there is, but I just think
it's
that's
like a
such
staple of the
cool-
genre. Like
a
staple
cool
of the
little
genre,
thing. It's
yeah.
it's a quick, this is how
Like,
it's gonna. This is what's gonna happen in this movie.
Yeah,
How are,
but I mean that
are you
was
ready for it?
70 something, and Scream was whatever year. So
No,
I think
yeah.
this is like
It's just like I just like the idea of that. It's
I
just
do
like
too.
here we go. And then I love the slap, because it's just insane.
oh
how hard she slaps him.
yeah.
And
When
then
little
I
Timmy's
have,
mom slaps the chief.
and then I have the chaos on the beach, the storm in the water, and then immediately storming back off out of the water.
Yeah.
And then one other little thing I have here is there's this once, and I don't even know. I saw this happen, and I was like, oh, that was kind of cool. And then I read something about it.
Yeah.
But the scene where it's Brody and his kid at the table, and they're like he's like mimicking him and everything.
Yeah.
That actually Spielberg put that in because like they were off a shoot, and they were just sitting there, and they were naturally
just
doing that.
around.
The two actors were just kind of doing that.
That's cool.
And he's like, oh, and it's a cool little family thing.
Yeah.
And and like he does that in other movies. Like there's a huge family tie-in in Poltergeist. Even though he wrote that and then directed, but like he does have little like
a lot of his movies are very like family.
Yeah.
We could do a whole episode on Spielberg alone.
Oh yeah,
he's insane.
But I just thought that was cool. And then I have some quotes down here. I don't really even care if we get into them, but
I did have one line while we're speaking about the kid. So there was a scene where his son is traumatized by like basically a shark attack that he sees. It's the first time you see like the full body. Is the guy in the red boat? It's basically like just a kill, one of the earlier kills. This guy is killed in front of one of the chief's son.
Yeah,
and he's in the hospital, and this fucking lunatic of a 10-year-old is like, his mom's like, oh, do you want me to get you ice cream? And he's like, yeah, get me coffee flavored ice cream.
Oh yeah, the coffee flavored ice cream.
Why? Why? What kid? Me and that kid and like my great aunt Bertha are eating coffee ice cream. Like they were like, oh, just like give us vanilla, and he's like, I'm gonna take this in another direction. Coffee ice cream.
So he just grew up. He just aged 10 years after.
So you
seeing...
think that he was like, I'll need a smoke and a coffee ice cream, and then I want to get to bed early.
Get my slippers ready.
Yeah.
No,
I just thought that was so stupid. I was like, why? Why coffee ice cream? I mean, I love coffee ice cream, but that kid is 10. Like that didn't need to be there. I did have another scene. He's the chief is He's like basically like it's in the earlier attacks. He's at his house, and you can see he's like trying to learn more about sharks. You know what I'm talking about?
Yeah.
He's like got books and stuff, and he's like turning through them, and like to me, I thought that was the funniest thing. And he's like, his wife walks in, and he's reading like, "How do sharks work?" And you're like, why? He's like slamming drinks, and he's just like, "Did you know sharks are dinosaurs? Did you know that?" And his wife's like, "Okay, that's great." He's like, "We don't even know how old they are. They're just in the ocean." And you're like, very good.
Oh, thanks.
Like, and I don't know why. I don't know who decided that, but that made me laugh. Did you have any other like funny scenes you wanted to talk about?
Well, so the quote
quotes,
was 1,100 men went into the water, 316 came out, and the sharks took the rest. June the 29th, 1945. Anyways, we delivered a bomb.
Yeah, I want to get that tattooed on
That's
myself.
chilling. And then the lead into "You're gonna need a bigger boat." He goes, it's Brody. He's out there trying to chum, and he goes, "I can slow ahead. Come on down here and chum some of this shit." And then the shark hits. And then he goes, "You're gonna need a bigger boat."
Yeah. Yeah, he was like super salty that he was basically like lowest man on the totem pole on the orca, the whole movie, I think. But
and then Quint, part of Quint's rant at the beginning, $10,000 for me by myself. This is when he's describing, like, they're like trying to get him a crew, and he's like, "I'm doing this by myself."
Yeah,
I think he says, "There's too many captains on the island. $10,000 for me by myself. For that, you get the head, the tail, the whole damn thing." Like that part, I was just great. Like, "All right, this dude's a master."
Speaking of that, another line related to just another classic like Quint line, when they're trying to drown the fish. Do you remember what he's on the top? He's steering. He's a sweaty, disgusting mess, and he yells down, "I got a taxidermy guy. He's gonna have a heart attack when he sees what I brung him." And that line killed me. I was like, man, he looks like a maniac in that scene. But yeah, he was great. What was his name? Something Shaw? Was his like in real life? Like actor.
Oh, Robert Shaw?
Robert Shaw. Yeah. He was great. I don't think they could have had anyone else.
Yeah, we didn't do this at the beginning, but Roy Scheider plays Brody, Robert Shaw plays Quint, Dreyfuss plays Hooper, and then Lorraine Gary plays Ellen, his wife. And then Murray Hamilton, I mean, I recognize his face, but he's the mayor in the first and the second one.
Yeah. Yeah, that's Jaws, man.
That's Jaws. Oh, speaking of that fisherman scene, though, he says there's one scene. It's so stupid, but I thought it was so funny. While they're doing the bounty at the beginning, so I guess it's before Quint's thing, but they're all interjecting, and then he's like, one random guy goes, "Is that $3,000 bounty on the shark in cash or check?" That just destroyed me.
Yeah. Oh yeah, and everyone laughs. Right?
Everyone laughs, and then
that one lady's like, "I don't think that's funny. I'm
Funny.
sorry."
Yeah.
You're like, you don't have to apologize. A kid was just mauled to death on
it's
a
not
beach.
funny, but it's funny.
But it's funny.
And
then, there's other kids.
And this, I don't know why I wrote this down. You're gonna probably never be my friend after I say this, but for some reason I wrote this quote down. There's one scene where Brody and his wife are just sitting there, and I think it's after bad things have happened, and they're just sitting there.
Bad things.
And you can tell he's just like defeated, and she just says, "You want to get drunk and fool around?" And for some reason that line always.
He's like, "Yeah."
He's like, he's just like, "Yeah, sure."
Yes,
like,
please. Yeah.
He's just like, that line always gets me.
Yeah. Some of these movies, like, there are, for as many iconic scenes in this movie, there's like 2 bullshit lines that you're like, that didn't. Why? Who put that there?
Yeah.
Like,
and then I do have a couple things about the movie. It was a 65-day shoot that took 159 days, so it's crazy that this movie. That
sucks.
Yeah, it just, everything went wrong. And
it was Spielberg's first feature movie.
First big one.
Yeah, first big movie. They had negative faith in him, like while they were filming it, I believe.
Yeah, he had done one movie, like he had done a couple of things, but then the feature film that he had done before this was the Sugarland Express, which I do want to see. I've never seen that.
I don't think I've seen that either.
But yeah. Oh, so one cool thing I thought was the whole movie shot in Martha's Vineyard.
Yeah.
And everything, there's only 2 things. They build Quint's shack and they put that billboard up, and that's it. Everything else was just.
It was just there.
Out of an actual like Hollywood movie, everything else was just filmed.
Yeah.
Just
that's
filmed.
Pretty cool.
That's pretty cool.
That is pretty cool.
It's cool.
It does look like a neat town. Yeah. Like Amity is not Amityville, not the horror. The town, it looks very. It does look pretty cool. Yeah, I don't know. I didn't have anything else. I think those were all my notes just on Jaws.
Yeah.
How
are we doing on time?
We're over an hour right now.
Oh, okay. So we've blown past our.
Yeah, we had an idea for this. We're like, yeah, we'll talk about Jaws for like 10 minutes, and then see what happens. So yeah, what do you think? Should we wrap it with that? With Jaws?
Yeah, we should.
So that was Jaws. Watch it. You can watch the second one. The third one, don't bother.
So I did watch the third one with my Oculus headset on, thinking that it would be
terrifying.
cooler.
No, awful.
Well, yeah, I knew it was going to be bad, but that's a pretty not good movie.
if you're looking to have a bad time.
The original writer actually did all first three, so I really don't understand what happens after the second, because the second one at least follows the first one, and you can be like, okay, that's a decent follow up.
Yeah, that's like a legit sequel, which is like story wise makes sense. There's like basically just another shark. But
yeah, Carl Gottlieb does 1, 2. Well, he does co-writes 1, 2, and then also does 3.
Yeah,
he also does The Jerk, which is a great movie. I know you love that one, but and there's a drive-in feature of the Jaws and The Jerk together. I'm gonna make you go to, hopefully.
Yeah,
but yeah, somehow they made 4 of them.
Yeah, that's terrifying. So yeah, that was Jaws. That's what we watched, I guess. So yeah, any final remarks?
No.
We have this is just we have an Instagram now. We're at What Are We Watchin'. We have a website, whatawewatchin.com. It's pretty straightforward.
Yeah.
Give us a follow, and I guess we'll see you next time.
Yeah, tune in next week to find out what are we watching.
What are we watching?